What is up, guys? RSC6414 here, back with another video. This time I'm doing my pay-per-view review for WWE Payback. Literally just ended 5 minutes ago, maybe 10, can't remember, whatever. Overall, this pay-per-view was pretty good for a June pay-per-view. It exceeded my expectations. Um, a lot better than I thought it was going to be. I didn't think it was going to be terrible. I just thought it'd be a mediocre pay-per-view. But it turned out to be a pretty good pay-per-view, especially considering it has a June slot, and June pay-per-views generally have June and May. We all know June pay-per-view history, like No Way Out wasn't very good, and then the one before that, it's just June pay-per-views are never like terrible. They're just not that great and not worth $45. But this one I thought was pretty good, and yeah, let me get to the review. First match we have is obviously the pre-show match, Sheamus versus Sandow. This match was pretty good. I enjoyed it for a pre-show match. Um, Lasted 10 minutes, which should have lasted that long, maybe even longer, but this match was pretty good. I enjoyed it. Let's go ahead and describe what happened. In the middle of the match, Sandow hit the elbow disdain after he hit the side Russian leg sweep for a near fall. Another thing that happened, Sandow picked Sheamus up and like slammed his head. Sheamus was on the top rope, and then Sandow picked Sheamus up off the top rope, and then slammed his head on the canvas, and then Sheamus is like this, pinned up against the ropes, upside down. That was pretty cool. I'm not a huge Sheamus fan. I like Sandow. Trying to think what else happened. Oh yeah, rolling senton by Sheamus for near fall, and then towards the end of the match, just bro kicked Sandow right after he delivered a backbreaker to Sandow. Sandow gets up eventually, and Sheamus delivers the bro kick for the 1-2-3. This match was decent. Like I said, overall I gotta give it a 2.5 out of 5. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible, mediocre, just in the middle. Better than a normal pre-show match we've seen on WWE pay-per-views. So it's pretty cool. Sheamus won. Not a huge fan of that. I'd rather Sandow win, but very predictable. I knew Sheamus was going to win. Next thing we have, first match of the pay-per-view. Technically, I guess you could say, of the real main card. That was a pre-show match, so I guess you could say it was part of the card, but enough of me rambling on. First match, or second match of the night, for Payback, we had an Intercontinental Triple Threat match. This match was really good. The match I was most looking forward to, believe it or not. I wanted Curtis Axel or Wade Barrett to win, preferably. Uh, didn't really have a preference. I like Curtis Axel and Wade Barrett both. The only person I didn't want to win was Miz. I'm not a huge fan of his. Go ahead and get to it. This was like a 10-minute match, really good match for Intercontinental Championship. Triple Threat really made it more enjoyable and entertaining. Um, so yeah, what happened in the match? I'm trying to think. I've got my little paper here so I can remember. Um, oh yeah, Axel delivers a perfect plex for a near fall when it was broken up by Wade Barrett. He delivers the perfect plex, and then Wade Barrett breaks it up for a near fall. And then another move was a skull crushing finale by Miz. Delivers a skull crushing finale, and then Wade Barrett pulls his leg when pulls Miz when he's doing the pin, pulls his leg and breaks up the pinfall there. And then towards the end, we have Miz. He has Wade Barrett in a figure 4 lock after Wade Barrett tried to do Wasteland, I think, and puts Wade Barrett in a figure 4 lock. Wade Barrett's about to tap because he tossed Curtis Axel over the ropes because he ducked and then tossed Curtis Axel over the ropes. And then Curtis Axel, Paul Heyman's like, get up, get up. Curtis Axel gets in the ring. And then while Miz has Wade Barrett a figure 4 lock, Curtis Axel puts a pin on Wade Barrett. Miz doesn't even realize it. 1, 2, 3, and Curtis Axel becomes your new Intercontinental Champion. Yes. I'm glad Curtis Axel won. I like Wade Barrett. I wouldn't have minded him winning, but like I said, overall, this is just a pretty good match, really enjoyable. I really liked it, like I said. So Curtis Axel pins Wade Barrett before he can tap out to Miz's figure 4 lock. I'm glad Axel wins, and yeah. So overall, the match rating, I give it 3.5 out of 5. I give it at 3.5 stars out of 5. I really liked it. It was one of the better matches of the night. I'd say top 3 out of the 8. So yeah, I'd say it's probably the third best match in my opinion of the night. So yeah, the next match we have is Divas Championship match, AJ versus Kaitlyn. And towards the beginning of the match, Kaitlyn throws AJ over the Spanish announce table, and AJ rolls over there. Later on in the match, this Divas match was pretty good. For a Divas match in the past couple pay-per-view, a year and a half for pay-per-views, the matches haven't been very good. So this was a pretty good, entertaining Divas match. Can't complain. It was pretty good, better than a normal one. It got more time. I think that's why Divas matches don't get enough time. I don't have a problem with the Divas division. They just don't get put on TV enough or get enough time in their matches to prove themselves and make some feuds. But this is one of the first times in a while WWE's actually had a feud for these, like a real feud that makes sense. So later on in the match, we have AJ and the Black Widow, and that gets countered. And then later on in the match, AJ has Kaitlyn in a move. Kaitlyn tosses her around and then spears AJ. And I'm like, oh gosh, Kaitlyn might win, because I thought for sure I thought this was a definite. AJ was going to win the Divas title. I like Kaitlyn, but I like AJ a little more. I was like, wow, if Kaitlyn wins, this would be sort of surprising. Then she blows a kiss to AJ like AJ would do, like just mocking AJ. And I'm thinking, why are you doing this? This is stupid, because you could easily have pinned her by now. And then she delays another 2 seconds, and then by that time, 1, 2, and a near fall. I know that's what WWE probably wanted her to do, since it's about a storyline and a bunch of that stuff, but you could have obviously pinned her and retained your title. And then later on in the match, AJ puts Kaitlyn in a Black Widow. Kaitlyn taps, and AJ becomes your new Divas champion. First 2 matches, 2 title matches of the night. We already have title changes. Curtis Axel winning Intercontinental, and AJ becoming your new Divas champ. I like AJ winning it. I think it'll be good for the Divas division. And yeah. The next match we have, oh yeah, for the rating I'd say I'd give it a 2.5 out of 5. Wasn't great, wasn't terrible, mediocre. Next match we have is one of the worst matches. I didn't enjoy this match very much. Ambrose versus Kane, especially the ending. It was really dumb. But this was just back and forth. Kane hit a sidewalk slam, or a side slam for a near fall, and then later on in the match, Kane just kicks Ambrose in the head when Ambrose is on the ring apron, and that sets up. Then while Ambrose is down, Kane's taking apart the Spanish announce table, and by that time he's giving Ambrose time to recover and regain his composure. Ambrose gets up and delivers a DDT on Kane on the outside of the ring, and then Ambrose gets back in the ring, and then there's a count out, a 10 count out. So obviously, if you watch WWE, it's different and independent. It's 20 time limit, but here it's 10 in the WWE. Obviously, Kane gets counted out. Dean Ambrose retains the title, and that was about it. It was like a 6-7 minute match, not very long. It was alright. I wouldn't say it was awful. The wrestling wasn't terrible. It was the ending that I wasn't too fond of myself, but makes sense, I guess. Makes Ambrose look strong. He can take down a big red monster, yeah, and make him not be able to get back up. So overall, I'd give it a 2 out of 5. Wasn't very good. Wrestling was good. I didn't like the ending, so wrestling's alright. 2 out of 5 is what I give it. Next match we have Dolph Ziggler versus Alberto Del Rio. This match was a hell of a match. Really good. The ending was not good, and it was sort of like disturbing for a couple minutes there. Dolph Ziggler was just getting kicks to the head, kick after kick after kick after kick after kick, just powerful kicks too. Like just you could hear him. Alberto Del Rio was just smashing his skull with his foot, basically, just kicking him left and right. Ziggler barely was able to get up. You could just hear him grimacing, like screaming, about to cry. Later on in the match, this part was real weird. Like he picks Ambrose. Ziggler is at the top rope, and he's like about to fall over. Like Ziggler didn't look like he was there all the way. I think he was actually seriously hurt, kind of as a concussion, I think. Um, but this part of the match was a little odd, I thought. Ziggler was at the top of the rope. Del Rio delivers a suplex, and Ziggler smashes his head on the ring apron. I was like, oh man, that's gotta be rough. He's just grimacing. AJ looks like she's about to break down in tears ringside. It was sort of a scary moment. I know this may be pretty dumb to some, but this looked like a serious moment and legit, not like one of those fake things where people fake their concussions. As a storyline, this looked real. But Del Rio's just kicking after kicking, wondering why he wasn't getting a big pop. People were booing him, and it almost looks like he's turning heel. Get to that in a second. Then Ziggler just keeps kicking out, kick after kick after kick. He just keeps kicking out of every pinfall. When you think he's done, he's not. I thought there was no way Del Rio would win this, but towards the end of the match, finally, Ziggler delivered a zigzag one point and had to hold his head because it hurt so bad when he slammed his head against the ring apron. Then Ziggler, finally, towards the end of the match, he's just getting up after getting nailed with another kick, and then, bam! Del Rio just smashes his skull with his heel again, just kick after kick, like I said. There was one point where he was on the ring apron and Del Rio just kicked him. The doctor was checking on him when that happened. He kicked him in the back of the head, and that was pretty vicious. AJ looked like she was urgent, panicking, telling him to stop screaming, and then towards the end of the match, like I just said, Del Rio just smashes his skull in the ring, and then for the one, I'm like, no way, two, no way, three, and I'm like, just cussing him under my breath. I'm just really pissed off. It took me like 10 minutes to get over this. I was really mad. But then as I started to think, it makes sense now. Here's my logic behind it. I think Dolph Ziggler is going to win the briefcase again at Money in the Bank, feud with Del Rio, and Del Rio comes back out at the end of the match and just starts saying, why don't you cheer for me, and just starts bragging about how he won the World Heavyweight Championship. Dolph Ziggler's like crying. He's in so much pain. It looked like AJ was crying. I felt sort of bad for Ziggler. I really like him. I wanted him to win. I'm not a huge fan of Del Rio. I don't hate him like a lot of people do. Well, if he turns heel, he's a lot better as a heel than a face, in my opinion. I really like him as a heel a lot more than I like him as a face. And then Del Rio just talks a bunch of trash about how he won the World Heavyweight Championship after he wins, and that looks like it's leading up to a heel turn. Ziggler looks like he's getting faced. The crowd was right behind the underdog. Ziggler was the underdog, basically, even though he was champion, because he kept bouncing back. So I think Ziggler's going to win Money in the Bank and feud with Del Rio. Overall, this match, I give it a 4 out of 5. Even though the title change didn't make sense at first, the match was really good because Ziggler kept kicking out, making the match longer and longer. It was just one-sided by Del Rio, but I give it a 4 out of 5. I really liked it. One of the better matches of the night, in my opinion. One of the best World Heavyweight title matches I've seen in a while. So, yeah. The next match we have is Punk versus Jericho. This match is pretty good, too. I'd say it was up there. I'd say probably top 3 as well. Punk versus Jericho is really good. But CM Punk looked a little winded at first. There was a lion salt by Jericho, then a code breaker that was two near falls there. Then you had walls of Jericho a couple times, which was broken up, and then CM Punk delivered the GTS after he hit the elbow drop off the top rope like he normally does. That was a near fall. And then finally, towards the end of the match, he threw Jericho over the ropes, hit a suicide dive. That was pretty cool. Then right at the end, Jericho's delivering the walls of Jericho. He counters, delivers the GTS. and then delivers another GTS on Jericho for the 1-2-3, wins by pinfall, 2 GTSs by Punk. CM Punk wins. That was pretty cool. I was glad about that. I wanted him to. I thought he'd win. But yeah, good match, I thought. I'd give this a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was the best match of the night. So yeah, 4.5 stars out of 5 is what I give this one. Excuse me. So yeah, the next match we have the Tag Team Championship matches. It didn't get a ton of time. It was a little disappointing, but it's still a good match. We have Shield, obviously Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins versus RK-No, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan. This match is back and forth. Daniel Bryan hit his kicks, hit some drop kicks on Rollins and Reigns when he first got tagged in. Then he hit the yes, 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 and he's just kicking him back and forth like that. That was a near fall, and then he hit a suicide dive on Rollins and Reigns and took them both. And no, he went for a suicide dive. Rollins and Reigns moved out of the way, and he drilled Randy Orton on the outside. That looked like it was going to be like a heel turn for one of them. A lot of people said rumors and stuff like one of them was going to turn heel. Daniel Bryan goes to the suicide dive, takes out Randy Orton. Then I thought it was coming, like a heel turn. Towards the end of the match, we have Seth Rollins, he was like, Randy Orton's coming in, and then Roman Reigns is about to deliver a spear because Randy Orton tries to deliver RKO. He counters it, and then Roman Reigns is charging right at Orton. Orton moves out of the way, throws Bryan right into Roman Reigns' spear. Reigns spears Bryan. Then Randy Orton RKOs Roman Reigns, and then Seth Rollins tosses Randy Orton through the ropes. Randy Orton's out of the ring, and then that leaves Daniel Bryan in the ring. Seth Rollins comes and just smashes his skull, stomps on his head in midair like this, just pops him down, pops his head right into the canvas for a 1-2-3. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins retain. No surprise. It was a good match. I give it a 3 out of 5 stars. Not the best, but it was pretty good. I wish it got a little more time, but still a good tag match. So yeah, that was pretty cool. And then the main event, Ryback versus John Cena. Okay, not terrible, not great, not as good as the Extreme Rules, but still not terrible. Lumberjack was sort of boring. Ryback would throw Cena through the ropes. JTG finally gets on a pay-per-view. Thank you, WWE. Happy about that. John Cena gets thrown through the ropes, and there's like heel side and a face side of the Lumberjacks, and then they're just stomping on Cena, and then Ryback gets thrown on that same side, and they're like, hey, I don't want any trouble, the heel. And then when Ryback gets thrown on the face side, Cesaro tries to put Ryback in the ring. Ryback hits him, and then they all go at it. Then John Cena's at the top rope and then dives on all the people, the faces, the heels, all the Lumberjacks are on one side going at it and just takes out half of them, probably 15 people with a high spot off the top rope, takes out Ryback too. That part was pretty cool. Then Ryback, Cena was going for a move, Ryback counters, delivers Shell Shock for the 1-2-3. Ryback wins the first stage, Lumberjack. This was not very good. I give it a 2 out of 5. I would have given it a 1.5 out of 5 if Cena didn't do that high spot. Just sort of dull, a little boring. I lost interest sort of at the beginning, some parts of that match, but wasn't terrible, I guess. But 2 out of 5 is what I give that stage. Ryback wins. In the next stage, we have a tables match. Now it's back and forth. It started out when Ryback powerbombed Cena right through a table, right through the WWE table at the beginning. Then they're going at it back and forth. Tons of times where Cena tried to deliver a double attitude adjustment, Ryback would counter. Tons of times the Shell Shock was countered. Power bombs were countered. Cena was getting his butt kicked the whole part of that match. But as Cena does, he's Superman. The table would get smashed twice by the steel steps. Ryback would try and hit Cena with him while he was on the table. Cena would move, and then the table would break in half, so they had to keep getting tables out from under the ring. Both men were hit with steel steps a couple times in the skull, and then Cena was thrown against the steel steps at one point in the match. But yeah, this was pretty good. I enjoyed this match, and then when Ryback's going for shell shock, Cena counters and delivers an attitude adjustment right through the table. Cena wins the second stage. When Ryback won the first, he knew it was coming. Cena would win the second, and then they'd have their ambulance match. For this, I thought it was pretty good, so I give this a 3 out of 5 stars. This tables match, it was a pretty good match. So 3 out of 5 there, or 2.5 out of 5 is actually what I give it. 2.5 stars out of 5. And the final stage, ambulance match, pretty good. Enjoyed it overall. Back and forth action. They take parts off the ambulance like it was Legos. It was a little far-fetched, but whatever. It is WWE and it is ambulance match, so no surprise. Cena would take a part off, like he did an Irish whip, and then Ryback ran right into the door and broke the door off. So he Irish whipped him right through the door, basically. Took the door off, and then would hit Ryback with the door a couple of times. He also took a part off the car and hit Ryback in the head with that a few times. Cena dominated most of this stage. Then he'd like toss Ryback up in the air, and Ryback would slam on the windshield of the ambulance, and that cracked. Then Cena would get on the top of the ambulance, take off the light, and just smash it on, not smash it, didn't smash or anything, but he'd just crush it on Ryback's head a couple times. Then he'd get to the top, he'd have Ryback on the top, and I'm thinking, oh, here we go, Cena being Cena. Puts him in an attitude adjustment, AA, and then Ryback goes right through the top of the ambulance, right into the ambulance, smashes the top of it, and then Cena wins. Retains the WWE Championship. No surprise, I thought he would. This stage I give a 3 out of 5. The first stage, the Lumberjack, I give it 2 out of 5. And the tables match, I give it 2.5 out of 5. It's pretty good overall for like all the matches. That's what I give it. 2 for the Lumberjack, 2.5 for the tables, and a 3 out of 5 for the ambulance. So for overall, the show Payback was good. I liked it. The overall grade I'm going to give the show is a 7 out of 10. I thought it was good, pretty good. Really liked it, and so yeah, I give the overall grade 7 out of 10. Pretty good show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I know I did. Check out my other videos. I know this was a long one, so if you watched till the end, I appreciate that. In-depth review for you guys, for my pay-per-view reviews. So check out my other videos and subscribe. Thanks, guys.